I am so excited to bring out my fall fragrances. I'm gonna be busting these out next week. We are nearing the end of August and September, and fall is right around the corner. And so this week, I've been pulling out some really interesting fragrances that are a little bit sweeter. There's some of them are still a little bit fruity and a little bit aquatic, but today we're going to be covering 9 fragrances today that are basically going to be a fall pregame, getting yourself ready for that fall season. And you can pull off a lot of these in the summer when it's starting to cool off a little bit in the evenings. So if you love fragrances, you want to see what I've been wearing this past week, stick around, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right in. Welcome to the channel, everyone. It is great to have you. Thank you for watching, and we're gonna talk about some fragrances. But before we begin the video, like always, I want you to let me know down in the comments some of your favorites that you've been wearing for this season, that you've been rocking this past week, and I'd love to hear what you're wearing. So starting off with Monday all day, I just wore one fragrance, and I went with this fragrance. This is Louis XVI by Kingsgate Fragrances. Now, they have been super nice, and they actually sent me over a few fragrances to check out. This is my first time checking out some of their fragrances, and boy, does this one smell absolutely phenomenal. This one is basically going to be a Creed Aventus Absolute twist, and it definitely still has that Creed Aventus vibe, and it smells very, very close to that Creed Aventus with some subtle differences. So with this one, you have that really nice smoky birch, you have some of that really nice leather and like a sweetness, but the difference with this one from that already existing best-selling Creed Aventus DNA is that the Absolute and this one adds a little bit of a more earthy tone. It's a little bit more mossy, and I feel like it kind of reminds me a little bit of Montblanc Legend, kind of Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce. So it's almost like you have a little bit of geranium, some lavender, and just a tiny bit more of an oak moss vibe combined with that really nice Creed Aventus DNA. And so this one, I remember it lasted me all day. It was a good like 8-9 hours or so, and probably a little bit longer on some of my clothes. But yeah, this stuff is an extrait de parfum, and it is, I mean, take a look at that juice. That looks like a Mancera or something. But yeah, this stuff was super strong. It has that nice pineapple blast in the opening, and it just smells dang good. And I want to say you can get these for about $40 or so, or probably like 30 to 40 bucks. And I'm gonna do some more videos on that house in the future. But for Monday, I smelled really nice, sweet. This is gonna be a really good choice when you're trying to get ready for that fall season. So this one, the Creed Absolute Aventus Twist, the Louis XVI. This is a really good choice. Now Tuesday, I received a couple fragrances in the mail, and you can actually check a video up here where I review this one. This is French Avenue's Fierte, and I also talked about Fragrance World's Varac, this one, and the really, really cool niche looking bottle right here. And spoiler alert, they are great, great fragrances, so you're definitely gonna wanna check out that video right up there. But this fragrance actually kind of blew me away, not gonna lie. I didn't have super high hopes. I thought, you know what? It's another Baby Cat YSL dupe, you know, what really more can they change? And I already have the Paris Corner Rifakat, and I wanted to kind of compare these two to see exactly how different they were and to see if it was redundant. This one is leagues better. Man, it is such a beautiful vanillic woody bomb. And so they use bourbon vanilla in here, so it's a little bit boozy. It's like a nice, warm, rich vanilla. It is so sweet, and it's a little bit musky at the same time. And I absolutely love how the wood in here makes it smell a little bit peppery. They have a couple peppers, like black and pink pepper, and it's also like a little bit of frankincense, I believe, that they have in here. So it's gonna be very spiced, it's gonna be resinous, but it is so sweet, gourmand. And I remember this was projecting like crazy off of me when I wore it. I was standing in line at the DMV, and I remember I just felt it radiating off of me, and I was thinking, man, if I can smell it just from my wrist here, like super strong, I know the people a couple, you know, spots behind me, I know they're getting a whiff of it. So yeah, this stuff smells really good, especially for the $50 that you can buy this for. And so I highly recommend this one if you like sweet gourmand fragrances with a little touch of spice and some pepper. Now the next day, I decided to keep this kind of train going with the sweet fragrances, but this time this is a little bit more fruity, and it's definitely more on the summer side. And this one is Shaghaf Oud Ahmar by Swiss Arabian. Now Swiss Arabian, if you haven't been checking out any of the Shaghaf offline, I highly suggest picking up any of these fragrances. You really cannot go wrong. But I gotta say, the Oud Ahmar, the Oud Tonka, and I think also just the regular Shaghaf Oud, the black bottle, those are some of my favorites. But this one is going to be a twist on Xerjoff's Herba Pura, so that's going to be that very classic fruity, musky, slightly drier sheet vibe. It just smells clean, soapy, floral with that beautiful sweetness that's very unisex, and I feel like anybody can pull this off. And this is a very easy to wear fragrance. There's a lot of fragrances out there that do that, you know, Herba Pura thing, but I really like how this one smells along with the Zara one. I think these are some of the better ones, but this one, it lasted me all day. It was probably 9-10 hours after I had originally sprayed this, and it was still going super strong on my skin and on my clothes. And so yeah, for a nice kind of slightly warmer day, I think this was a good choice because again, it's aquatic, it's floral, it's sweet, and it's not going to be too offensive. People are gonna smell it and think, man, this is a really easygoing person. So whether you're a guy, gal, or anybody who just wants to smell, you know, soapy, fruity, and just very clean, this is a great choice. And that one is Shaghaf Oud Ahmar. And then in the afternoon, I decided to go with that kind of fruity vibe, but this is a really good cheapie. This is Coach for Men. You can still get this for I think like 20 or 30 bucks for this size. It's been a while since I've checked, but it's not crazy expensive. This is one of Coach's best releases, and I know they've made a few flankers, but I think the original one is still so good. It's got a beautiful kumquats in the opening. It's sweet, it's a little bit citrusy, but there's also a nice dark, rich earthiness with some leather in here. So it definitely has a nice refreshing vibe, but it's dark enough that you can pull this off for like a date night, or you can just wear this for office or just after work. I think some of the leather, I feel like some earthy patchouli or some peppery vibes in here, and it really does just make yourself smell really expensive. And honestly, if you know your nose isn't trained and you don't know what this fragrance is, you're gonna think that you just smell really nice. And so this one, highly recommend if you have 20 or 30 bucks. Definitely check it out. It's definitely blind buy worthy, and as long as you want to smell good, get this fragrance. Get Coach for Men. Now Thursday, I decided to go with a fragrance I hadn't worn in quite a while. It's been a hot minute since I've worn this fragrance. I reviewed it probably a year and a half ago, but oh my goodness, I forgot how amazing this smelled. This one is Lattafa Pride Maharjan Silver, and I know that I think they have a gold version, but I gotta say, this silver version is absolutely unique, and it smells so dang good. It's been a while since I've checked some of the notes, but at least from my nose, what I can pick up is a really nice Mandarin, clean Italian vibe. It's got some musks in there, and I feel like there's also a really strong jasmine. So it's musky, it's floral, and it's got that beautiful sweetness and a little touch of warmth. And I remember I wore this one to the gym several times, and honestly, this is perfect weather for it, where it's a little bit cooler, it comes off a little bit more earthy and a little bit more floral, but once it's hotter outside, it comes off a little bit more aquatic, and kind of that Mandarin orange vibe definitely pushes off more. So it smells a little bit Middle Eastern with some of the florals in there, but it just smells expensive. And I think I paid 20 or 30 bucks originally for this bottle, and honestly, it smells like a niche fragrance. I don't really know if it's copying anything or if it's doing its own thing. Maybe let me know down in the comments, but I still think this one is definitely worth the price, and longevity was great. This one is really a hidden gem, but that one is Lattafa Pride Maharjan Silver. And then Friday, I got to pull out this bad boy again. It's been on my weekly list for the past couple weeks, I'd probably say, but this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time, especially for the fall. This one is Lattafa Qahwa. Now, I definitely recommend getting this fragrance over the OG because it adds a little bit of a darkness, a richness, a booziness, and it definitely just kind of tones down a little bit of the coconut, kind of synthetic vibes of the original Khamrah. Now, this one, I find it easier to wear. It's less intrusive on the nose. It just smells very smooth. And honestly, when I gave this one to my brother to give it a sniff, I said, hey, what do you think of this one? Would you wear this out? He said he loved it, and he said it reminded him of coconut coffee creamer. So that's basically what you're gonna get, that nice, rich, dark coffee combined with a nice gourmand sweetness and some of that nice, creamy, lactonic coconut creamer vibe. And so there's also like a maple syrup accord in here. So it's very syrupy, it's very sweet. And if you're not a fan of fall fragrances, then I'd maybe steer clear of this one, but you know, I don't think you'd be watching this video if you didn't like the kind of fall sweet vibes. It's almost like a nutmeg or like a pumpkin pie spice, but to me, this one just embodies autumn and the fall. So if you're looking for a fall banger for about 40, 30 bucks, check this one out, Lattafa, Khamrah, Qahwa. And then in the afternoon, I got to meet up with some friends and family, and I pulled out another fragrance that I hadn't worn in a while. This one is Montblanc Legend Night. Now this fragrance, criminally underrated. It was talked about for a long time, way back, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I feel like people just stopped talking about it. At least I stopped smelling it and hearing stuff about it online, but it is still so worth it in 2024 because it definitely captures that Armani Code Profumo vibe. It's discontinued, but for this one, you can get it for like 30 bucks for a really, really big bottle. This has such a beautiful tonka sweetness. It's vanillic. It's also a little bit boozy and kind of like a salty musk with some pepper woods in there. So it's going to definitely make you smell sweet, kind of seductive. And with a name like Montblanc Legend Night, it's going to be a mass pleasing. People are going to be smelling it. They're going to think, ooh, give me a hug, honestly. And you feel like you want to just hug people with this because you're like, this smells so good. I want to share this experience with you. As weird as that sounds. This color bottle is a perfect representation of how it's going to smell. It's dark, it's sweet, it's kind of ambery and just very warm. And I feel like it just radiates this beautiful kind of glow around you when you wear it. So this one, it's still a huge, huge, great bang for your buck fragrance. And I highly recommend it. So definitely check out Montblanc Legend Night. And then Saturday, it was beautiful weather outside. It was cool, there was a nice breeze, it was kind of cloudy, and it definitely felt like autumn was right around the corner. So I decided to go with a more laid back, kind of oody, ambery fragrance. And this one is Dolce & Gabbana's The One Exclusive Edition. So this fragrance smells very similar to the original Dolce & Gabbana The One. It's got that really nice cardamom, that amber, some sandalwood, and some of those nice rich spices. And there's also some labdanum included in this one, so it's going to be a little bit leathery, and there is a touch of that agar wood in here. It's not going to be real agar wood, it's that synthetic agar wood, and in fact, it's basically the same oud that I kind of pick up from Tom Ford's tobacco oud. It's going to be that slightly synthetic agar wood that's a little bit tobacco-like. It's kind of smoky, but it's not going to be super animalistic and offensive, and so I think that it was an interesting addition to that The One DNA, and I actually really enjoyed how this one smelled. And kind of the funny thing too is I was also testing out the new Dior Sauvage Eau Forte, and funny enough, I actually had some of this on my skin beforehand, and 30 minutes after I sprayed this one, it basically died down, and I could actually smell the one that I had sprayed many hours before stronger than the Sauvage. So I'll do a full review on that one, you know, this week. I still think that this is an amazing fragrance, and I know it was a limited release, and I'm not 100% sure if you can still pick it up, but if you do have this one in your collection, I think it is definitely worth pulling out and checking out again because it is ambery, it's woody, it's spicy, and it is a perfect time to pull this out again. That one is Dolce & Gabbana The One Exclusive Edition. And today I'm wearing a Nabeel fragrance. I sprayed this several times in the morning and I can still smell it on my skin about 10 hours later. This is Nabeel's Black Sand. Now this fragrance bottle is not necessarily the most high quality presentation. The cap is definitely plasticky. It's not the greatest feeling, but I gotta say the juice inside, Nabeel definitely knows what they are doing. This stuff is a nice, warm, fuzzy oud. It's ambery and it's got a really interesting floral quality to it. So it's similar to that of the Nabeel Earth. It's just gonna be that nice, rich, warm, expensive, luxurious smelling agar wood, but it's not going to be so animalistic that it's gonna turn you away. It's a smooth, silky oud that is just gonna glow when you wear it. You're just gonna be radiating opulence. You're gonna feel like a king or a queen when you're wearing this stuff. There's also some beautiful musks in here that make it smell expensive and just kind of salted almost. And it's just a beautiful mix of these kind of dense, sweet, woody notes combined with a nice airy, musky vibe with some of those florals. And honestly, this is going to be a beautifully complex fragrance that is going to last an eternity for about that $30 mark. So if you don't have this fragrance, definitely check this one out. Check out Nabeel's Black Sand. So there we go, 9 fragrances that are going to be perfect for this summer to fall transition. Again, you can definitely pre-game the fall and autumn season with these fragrances. It's going to give you a preview of what's to come, and depending on the weather, you know, you can definitely pull off some of these more dense fragrances and the sweeter ones, no problem. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you stay safe out there and you have an amazing week ahead. I'm Eli with Common Sense. Until the next time, bye-bye.